All right, everybody, welcome to day two of the NCAA Indoor Championships. We have already gotten things started here with the women's mile on the track. It is all finals today, so this is for a national title. We've got the women of Oregon in the mix here. Wilma Nielsen won last year. She was your mile champion indoors last year. Definitely looking to repeat here. So we are getting things going right away as we are already approaching the bell lap of this women's indoor mile final. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yesterday was a great day. Wilma Nielsen trying to overtake the lead along with Sadie Engelhart of NC State. Riley Chamberlain also in the mix. She's in third right now. The current collegiate record holder in the mile from BYU, Rosemary Longisa. It's going to be between Longisa and Nielsen for this title, everybody. And Nielsen takes it right at the end. The Oregon Duck repeats. Wilma Nielsen is your women's mile champion. 4:40 in a bit of a tactical race. She overtakes Rosemary Longisa on the home stretch. And it's going to be NC State star freshman Sadie Engelhart who takes third. Collegiate record holder Riley Chamberlain back in fifth. Shalana Yildiz of Oregon in sixth. So a lot of points here for the Oregon Ducks. If you are just tuning in, welcome to The Kick, a runner's podcast. This is a special live edition for the 2026 NCAA Indoor Championships. We just wrapped up the women's mile here, and Wilma Nielsen repeats as champion. And they are talking to her now. She is all smiles, talking about how much it means to defend her title. Congratulations to Wilma Nielsen. If you're just tuning in here, welcome. We were live yesterday for day one of the meet. The live chat was popping. We had over 3,000 viewers total throughout the night. And today, we're taking things up a notch. Every event is a final. It's day two at the NCAA Indoor Championships, and we are going to be reacting live to all of it. Welcome, welcome, everybody. If you are able to leave a comment in the live chat, please do so. That makes this a lot more fun for everybody. Say hello. Who are you rooting for? Who are you predicting to do well today? And we are officially live. Just wrapped up the women's mile. It was a great race. Again, to recap, Wilma Nielsen defends her title, takes the win for Oregon. In second was Rosemary Longisa. She ran a really strong race, had the lead going into the home stretch, but Wilma did overtake her. And it was the star freshman from NC State, Sadie Engelhart, in third. We're going to have the men's mile coming up in just a second. That is scheduled to go off in just about 2 minutes. Welcome, everybody, as you start to join in on the watch party here. We are going to be live reacting to every event here at day two of the 2026 NCAA Indoor Championships. Due to copyright, I'm not able to show the race footage here. You know the deal. But I'm going to be providing high energy commentary for the entirety of the meet. Right now, we are on commercial break in between the women's mile and men's mile. Yesterday, we had a crazy live stream with so many different surprises going down. I'm sure today will be no different, as a lot more national titles are going to be handed out. It's finals day here. I'm tuning in, watching on ESPN Plus, so you don't have to. Or you can also do that and watch along with me. We're on commercial break here, so I'm going to put out a post on the Instagram page at the Kick Podcast, just to make sure everybody knows that we are live here. We set a record yesterday with more than 3,000 viewers throughout the night. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. Again, we are on commercial break, but the men's mile should be coming on in just about a minute now. And we are back there now showing a recap of the men's shot put. And then they will be going back to the track momentarily as we get the men's mile underway. Again, follow us along on Instagram. I'm posting there now just to keep everybody updated on the fact that we are live right now for day 2. A little late to making this post, but it's all good. Feel free to leave a comment in the live chat if you are able. Who are you rooting for today? Who are you predicting to win any particular event? Marco Langen was the hot topic yesterday on the stream. Everybody was either picking for him or against him. He ended up coming in second in the men's 5K, but he'll be returning for the 3K today with one thing on his mind, and that is a national title. Valiant effort from the Villanova star yesterday in that 5K. But Habtom Samuel of New Mexico took the win. All right, men's mile is on the track, and we are ready to get underway here. Do we have predictions for this men's mile? We've got a lot of potential here. Guys like George Cootie of Virginia Tech. Excited to see how this all plays out. Of course, Gary Martin has been considered the favorite for a while here, but as this season has developed, a lot of other names have gotten into that conversation. And we are off here for the 2026 men's mile at the NCAA Championships indoors in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And early here, George Cootie of Virginia Tech is going to lead things. And they are going to come through 200 meters in just around 29 seconds. Gary Martin is in the back right now. And we are going to see how this thing develops. It's Cootie in the lead, 300 meters into this thing. .400 meters in, nothing has changed. A little over 60 seconds for these men. And it's George Cootie leading the charge with Gary Martin in second to last. We'll see if he is content with that position for much longer. And Gary is starting to move outside and going to start advancing into 6th now. Definitely keeping an eye out for Gary Martin. He has the fastest mile PR in this field. But in championship races like this, times do go out the window a bit. All right, and we're going to be approaching the halfway point here of this men's mile. And 800 meters in, they are going to come through at 2:04. And now they are going to start to turn things up. This is a pedestrian pace for these men, all well under 4 minutes for their qualifying marks. So they are really going to turn things up and get rolling here. Gary Martin moving up into 3rd. Cootie's dropping back. And now George Cootie drops back into 6th. Leave a comment in the live chat. Who do you think is going to win this thing? Ferdinand, thank you for your comment. It's the first of today's stream. Reina moving up. Watch out for the two men from Washington, as their school is very familiar with national titles in the mile. And we are approaching 400 meters to go. 2 laps to go. Gary Martin making a push to the front. And these men are all in this thing. With 2 laps to go, the entire field has a chance here. And we have a trip on the rail. George Cootie doesn't go down, but definitely lost about a second there. He's trying to move back up. He's in third, but it's Gary Martin. He's going to have the lead going into the bell, but he's just about even with Carter Cutting of BYU. So it's Cutting and Martin battling it out here in this final 200 meters. We are just moments away from crowning the men's mile champion. And Gary Martin fighting to try to get around Carter Cutting, but he's not going to do it. Cutting of BYU is going to have the lead going to the home stretch, and it looks like he's going to be able to hold on. George Cootie doing everything he can to try to get back into this thing, but it's Carter Cutting of BYU winning this thing. 3:58.9 for the winning time, but all that matters is that national title. Carter Cutting of BYU. A bit of an upset there. Gary Martin does not take it, neither does Cootie. It is BYU's Carter Cutting. His final lap, 27.4. Just a perfectly executed race from BYU's Carter Cutting. Second place was George Cootie. Valiant effort from him after tripping on the rail with about 300 to go. Michigan's Trent McFarland made a huge surge at the end into third. He was towards the back for most of this race. A favorite for a lot of people was the Wolverine, Trent McFarland. He might have waited a little too long there, but he does end up taking third. And it's UVA's Gary Martin all the way back in fourth. Thomas Diamond of Washington in fifth. Matthew Andrade of New Mexico in sixth. Ferdinand predicted Gary Martin for the win. I think a lot of people would have been in agreement with that prediction. But he just didn't seem to have it at the end there, which is a bit of a surprise considering how much faster his PR is than what the time they ended up running was. A guy who can run 3:48, you would think he would have a little more left with a 3:58 mile being run there, but you never know in these championship settings. Gary Martin has also battled some sickness this season, had some interruptions. So congratulations to Carter Cutting, your men's mile champion here at the NCAA Indoor Championships 2026. And we are going to a commercial break now. It gives me the chance to welcome everybody who is joining here. If it's your first time, I'm your host, Will Loggia. This is the Kick, a Runner's podcast. And the day's finally here. It's day 2. It's finals day at the 2026 NCAA Indoor Championships. And we are going to be live reacting to it all. Cannot show the race footage here. You know the deal with copyright, but I will be providing high energy commentary for the next 4 hours of track and field. Next 2 hours of track and field, rather. Thank goodness it's not 4 hours again. Yesterday we were on here for 4 hours. It was fun, but I think I lost my voice a little bit. But that's how it is, and we're happy to do it here. I'll be engaging with your comments in the live chat, so please leave a comment there. It makes this a lot more fun for both of us, and we're going to have a great time. Again, we are on commercial break here after the women's and men's mile have both wrapped up. We've crowned champions Wilma Nielsen of Oregon and Carter Cutting of BYU. So congratulations to those athletes. Let's set a Kick live stream record today. 3,000 views is the number to beat. That was yesterday. Things are really going to start heating up here. We had so many viewers tune in for the 5Ks yesterday, and I think that'll be the case with the 3Ks later today. Marco Langen, definitely an athlete that a lot of people have been watching. Brandon in the chat says, I'm your biggest fan. Brandon, appreciate you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Um, he says you interview World Championship qualifier Thomas Cowan. We should get Thomas on the podcast for sure. We absolutely should get Thomas on the podcast. And Thomas is, wow, welcome to the chat to Thomas. He is actually here right now. Yeah, Thomas, let's work it out. Let's see. I don't know if you would rather do it probably after World Championships as they're just a week away. Safe travels to Poland. Yeah, hopefully you get to see Foster while you're out there. But yes, Ferdinand said Matthew Andrade is from South Africa. Martin disappointed. Yeah, so Andrade did have a relatively strong race there. He did place sixth, so All-American for the Lobo of New Mexico. But want to welcome in some former teammates of mine from BU, Brandon and Thomas, both dogs. Brandon, hope you're doing well. Thomas, safe travels to Poland, and good luck in that 800 at World Championships. Maybe we should have you on the podcast for sure as a guest, either before or after World Championships. Yeah, who you got in the 3K? See, I want to say Marco Langen just because, like, I feel bad for the guy. I know he's talked a lot of smack, but I feel like he needs a national title to just be able to live with himself. But Colin Salmon yesterday in that DMR anchor looked unbeatable. So he's going to be going into this 3K, presumably a little fresher than Marco, having run a shorter distance than him yesterday. So I'd say Colin Salmon should probably be the favorite in the men's 3K. And Marco Langen, wish him the best. I know he'll give it his all. I think he's got to make it fast. And then on the women's side, it's going to be a repeat showdown between Doris Lemongole of Alabama and Jane Hedegren of BYU. Jane got the best of Doris yesterday in the 5K. I think Doris is going to push things out to a hot pace in the 3K today. And I think that's going to be an even closer battle today in the 3K on the women's side. Ferdinand says, this is the only way we can follow from South Africa. Well, I appreciate that. I'm going to do my best to provide you with the highest energy live commentary in the game, Ferdinand. So feel free to share with your South African friends, and we're going to have a great time together. RC, welcome back to the stream. I remember you were here yesterday, so I appreciate you joining. RC says the strategy in both miles was terrible by fresh runners. They took away their advantages and turned the mile races into short sprints. These were coaching errors, especially in the women's mile. Good point there. Yes, definitely both miles were tactical here. And for the athletes who were coming in fresh, I would think that taking things out a little faster would be preferred and try to, maybe get the best of those athletes who are doubling back or tripling back. Thomas Cowan says apparently Doris scratched. That is really disappointing news to me. I hope it's not true, but I bet you're right. Thomas is usually right about these things. That is really too bad. I wonder if she is okay. I'm not sure why that would be. Maybe she was dealing with something already. To be honest, I thought she would be closer in the 5K yesterday, so maybe she was already dealing with something, but wish the best to Doris. She's an athlete I've spoken to and interviewed many times, and she's a great person, and too bad if she's not in the 3K today. Definitely for the sake of us fans, we wanted to see that showdown between her and Jane again, but most importantly for her, hope she's doing okay. Know she would like to race if she could. All right, we're going to have the women's 60-meter dash now on the track. I'm going to be fully transparent that I don't really know the sprint super well, but it's going to be a quick one. Let's see who's able to take the win here. And they are off. Women's 60-meter dash. And it looks like it's going to be Florida State's Shanice Walker taking the win. Yes, that's Florida State senior Shanice Walker with the win there in the women's 60-meter dash. I think she had the fastest time in the prelims yesterday. So congrats to her. So congratulations to the Seminoles on their national title winner there in the women's 60-meter dash. Welcome to everybody in the stream here. It's going to be a fun one. Shout out to our top commenter thus far in the early going. It is Ferdinand from South Africa. Pretty cool to have some international viewership here on the kick. Again, we are between the women's 60-meter dash and the men's 60-meter dash right now. Congratulations to Shanice Walker on winning the women's race. RC says, go FSU. Yeah, I think this was their first title in the 60 meters on the women's side for, I think they said 26 years on the broadcast, so that's pretty cool. Congrats to them. Georgia also, in the team race here, they come away from the women's 60-meter dash with 11 points, so good for them. Who do we think is going to win the team scores for the women's and men's side? That's always a fun battle to watch. I have to say I respect the Oregon women a lot for what they've been doing. A lot of commitment to the team yesterday in the DMR. Both Shalon Ayildez and Wilma Nielsen doubled back from their mile prelims, and they helped their team, really led their team to that DMR victory in 10 points. So shout out to the Ducks. They'll definitely be in the mix in the team score category. How crazy was that men's DMR last night, though? Colin Salmon just made it look easy. Closed in, I think, 24 seconds that last lap, and he was celebrating going into the home stretch. He's going to be dangerous in that 3K later. RC says Oregon has the number 2 hurdler and the 3,000 coming up. Yeah, it's true. Oregon has so many. Yeah, another prediction for Oregon. I'm going to go Oregon on the women's side as well. They won last year indoors. They're the number 1 kind of historically, and I think they are currently the number 1 team. They've got so many athletes and so many events, and they executed so well in the DMR yesterday, which I think was really key for them. Interesting to see how they'll fare in the 3K as well. Like, at this point, for an athlete like Shalana Yildiz, how is she going to fare? She's run, 3 events? So she had the mile, prelim and final, and then she had the 800 leg of the DMR. It's a lot to ask, but if she could come away with some points in the women's 3K, that would be really cool. Maybe it'll be more tactical if Doris isn't involved. I think if Doris was in the race, she would push things a little faster, but this might play into the hands of Shalon and the Ducks. Ferdinand says, I'm a Texas Longhorn, but it looks like Oregon women, Arkansas men. Yeah, I think the home team on the men's side is looking the best right now, with Arkansas looking to defend their home turf at what they call the track capital of the world. All right. We're back from commercial here. They are recapping the high jump, I believe. Yes, the high jump. Arkansas athlete who placed 3rd. And they're now showing Kamani Jack of Georgia doing the high jump. I guess these are not final results. They are still competing, so we'll see how that all goes. I won't pretend to be an expert on the field events nor the sprints. Here on the kick, we specialize in the distance events. RC says Illinois was supposed to score major points in the women's triple jump, and none of their 3 women scored. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. I wasn't aware. It sounds like a bit of a disappointment for the Illinois women in the triple jump. You never know what's going to happen when you get to these high stakes meets. Looks like Harvard got a new school record in the high jump. Tito Alofe of Harvard setting a new school record. So Oregon is currently in the lead in both the men's and women's team scores, I believe. But a lot can change as we have only had a few events finalized in the scoring. It's finals day here at the NCAA Indoor Championships. Men's 60-meter dash about to take the track. That will be followed by the 400s. Then we'll get into the 800s. Then it'll be the 200s, the hurdles, and then the marquee event for us kick fans, the 3Ks. So a lot to look forward to for the remainder of this one. All right. The men are taking their marks for the men's 60-meter dash finals. And it is all quiet here at the track capital of the world in Arkansas, as the Fayetteville crowd has gone silent in anticipation for this 60-meter dash final. 2 athletes from Iowa, 2 athletes from Auburn, a Penn State athlete, Texas Tech. Jelani Watkins of Arkansas looking to get some points for his home team here. This could be crucial for the Razorbacks. Thank you for the score update, RC. Really appreciate your chats thus far. You are our top fan in the stream through a half hour. And the men's 60-meter dash, false start. Little movement there. Let's see how this gets called. Hopefully nobody gets disqualified here. So it seems like there might have been a misfire of the starting gun, and there was a bit of a click sound that fooled the athletes. So it's a green card. This was not on the athletes. This was on the starter. Hate to see that at the national championship. A malfunction for the starter. Zach the runner says, guess who's back? Zach, welcome back. Thank you for joining us 2 days in a row here on the kick. When's Marco's race? Marco's race is the 3K. That's a bit later in the meet, but it's pretty rapid fire at this one on day 2. So his race is expected. Let's see here. It's the second to last event, I believe. 7:25 Eastern time for the men's 3K. Yeah, 7:25 Eastern time for the men's 3K. We'll see if Marco is able to get his national title. Ferdinand predicts Ocon for surprise win in 60. We're about to find out as they are taking their marks once again. After the start malfunction, hopefully they have figured that out. Can you imagine getting on the line at the national championship and there being a malfunction like that when nerves are so high in an event as short as the 60-meter dash where every little second counts? All right. And they're off in the men's 60-meter dash. Ajayi holds off Watkins for the win. Look like it's Ajayi for the win of Auburn. .45. From what I know, that's a really fast time. And he is celebrating. He rips off his bib, and on the back of it, he had written, "It's mine," it looks like. So a bit of Noah Lyles-esque celebrating for the 60-meter men's champion. Jelani Watkins was coming on strong there towards the end, but didn't have enough time to catch Ajayi. So Auburn goes 1-5 there. So getting some points there is Auburn. Arkansas also coming away with 8 points there. Zach says, bet I'll be here. Zach, appreciate you. We're going to have a good time watching the 3K. Seeing if Marco Lingan gets his national title. It's going to be tough for him to beat Colin Salmon. I mean, Colin Salmon looked unstoppable yesterday in that DMR, but you never know. Things can change day to day. Definitely bummed to hear that Doris Lemongole has apparently scratched from the women's 3K. That is a total bummer. Hope she's okay. I won't confirm that yet. I do still see that Doris is listed in the women's 3K, but we did have a knowledgeable source share earlier that Doris might have scratched. So we'll be keeping that on our radar here as we approach the 3Ks later in the meet. So we're on commercial break here. The women's 400 meters will be on the track when we return from commercial here. But in the meantime, I'll be checking in on the live chat here. Feel free to leave a comment. Welcome to the kick. Welcome back to those who were here yesterday. We had a great time on day 1. Now we're back for day 2. Let me know, does everything look and sound okay here in the stream? Can you hear me well? Again, we're on commercial break here, so nothing to commentate on the track. Take this opportunity to invite you to subscribe to The Kick if it's your vibe. Most of the time, we do podcasts with guests from around the running world. But in events like this, we do like to go live as well, and it's a lot of fun. Zach says, yeah, you're all good. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, Zach. You have now taken the lead here as our top commenter and our top fan on today's stream. So I appreciate your engagement there. Ferdinand says, well done. Auburn. Yes. Good performance for Auburn. Come away with some team points there and the individual win. We had a bit of a Noah Lyles-esque celebration from the winner there. 6.45 is legit. From what I know, that's a fast time in the 60. Welcome, 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 everybody. It is day 2 of the NCAA Indoor Championships, and we are on commercial break right now. But luckily, when we're bored by commercials, we're entertained by the awesome audience here on The Kick with your live chats. Looks like we're going to be returning to the track here for the women's 400 meters, which will be going off in just about a minute. They are currently recapping what's been going down in the women's triple jump. Incredible to see these athletes take flight. Wow. Foreman of Clemson is, I believe, currently in the lead. Yeah, triple jump is a wild event. Incredible athletes. It's actually Texas Tech's Washington they're showing now. I don't know who's in the lead currently. They're kind of showing highlights throughout the day. All right, in just about a minute, we're going to have the women's 400 meter dash final on the track. couple Arkansas athletes going to be competing for points here for their team, home team here in Fayetteville. There are 2 sections of the 400-meter dash final. I always find that a little bit annoying, but what can you do? The track's only so big. There's only so many lanes. But it would be rough to win Heat 1 and then have your dreams crushed by somebody taking down your team, taking down your diamond Heat 2. Ferdinand says Ajayi can go to Worlds. Wow. Yeah, with that, I mean 6.45, I'd imagine. So we'll see if Ajayi will be competing in Poland next weekend. Certainly an athlete to watch out for. And he's clearly got a personality that could catch on with his big time celebration at the end there. Again, he ripped off his bib, and on the back he had already written his prediction that he would be winning. So pretty cool. All right, women's 400 meters, Heat 1 about to get underway here. Getting down into the blocks. And it is all quiet here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, as we prepare to get this 400-meter heat underway. Section 1 of the women's 400-meter dash final is underway. These women getting out hot, fighting for position before they cut in. And it is now Georgia's athlete in the lead here, Oakley. Oakley still leading things for Georgia, entering the final 100 meters now. Watching the clock as well, as that will come into play with another heat on the way. But is going to be Oakley of Georgia taking the win here, 50.45. And officially now 50.47 for Oakley of Georgia. It's about all you can ask for. It's a PR for Oakley. Her time might stand for a national record. We'll find out in just a couple minutes when Section 2 takes the track. Okay, Ferdinand says, please keep me updated on triple jump. Masakane from Gators is South African. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong, but I will definitely look out for that, Ferdinand. Again, the ESPN Plus broadcast is not really showing too much of the triple jump. Anytime they do, I will be sure to shout it out. RC says in the 400 meters, they put the top 2 qualifiers in Heat 2. That's true. Yeah, you do have an advantage being in Heat 2. So that is something that can kind of be controlled in the prelims, trying to make sure you get that spot in the second heat. So we'll see how it all goes down. But RC says 50.47 is the second fastest women's time this year. Yeah, that's a really strong time for Oakley of Georgia. Definitely setting the bar high here. And that's a PR for her. And it could be fast enough to earn her a national title. We'll find out in just a moment here as Heat 2 of the women's 400 final is taking their lanes now. Ella Onejvuevo of LSU, she won in the SEC just last week. She'll be a definite threat to Oakley's time here. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Again, we are currently in the women's 400 meters here. Heat 1 was won in a fast time of 50.47 by Oakley of Georgia. Heat 2 is taking the track now. Leave a comment in the live chat. Are you interested in an event coming later tonight? Would love to hear what you're tuning in for and who you're predicting to win in some of these final events that we have on deck. Question of the day has been, will Marco Langen be able to take the 3K title after getting second in the 5K yesterday? And the women's 400-meter Heat 2 is off to the races here. 50.47, the time to beat for a national title. And these women are out strong. And it looks like another Georgia athlete is going to lead this heat. But now it's LSU's Ona Juvuevo. Ella Ona Juvuevo leading this thing. 100 to go. Here comes Madison White. Going into the home stretch, Madison White looks strong, and it's going to be Madison White of USC taking the win in Heat 2, but let's watch the clock here. It's not going to be fast enough. 50.68 for Madison White. And Oakley wins the 400-meter title out of Heat 1. 50.47. Madison White takes second overall. 50.68. And it's Ella Onajuvuevo of LSU in third. Ferdinand comments, Britton Wilson and Isabella Whitaker, my favorites from Arkansas when they were in NCAA. Great athletes. Be watching another Whitaker today, later in the women's 800, Juliette Whitaker. Excited to see her take on the 800. She looked good in the prelims yesterday. All right, so women's 400 in the books. That means men's 400 is right around the corner. Congrats to Oakley of Georgia, champion of the 400 meters. They're interviewing her now. She's very happy. So awesome to see just how happy she is to have achieved this. It's funny because when she got off the track after Heat 1, she was so kind of emotionless, knowing that there's still another heat. She couldn't really show any excitement, even though she ran such a fast time. She stayed very low-key, and now after maintaining that lead and winning the title, she's now just so happy, and it's great to see. She said she gave it everything she had, and she loved being in lane 3. It's her favorite indoor lane ever. I don't think that's super common in sprints. Oakley leads her heat wire to wire and takes the win. So that's the women's 400 meters in the books. Welcome, everybody, to the Kick a Runners podcast. We are live for the NCAA Indoor Championships. We've got some repeat viewers from yesterday. Feel free to share the link to this live stream with your track and field friends. A lot of exciting events on the horizon here. Most popular event yesterday was both the women's and men's 5K. We got over 3,000 viewers in here, as I think a lot of people were tuning in to see Marco Langen in that men's 5K. He ended up taking second in an exciting finish where he moved from fourth to second, chasing Habtem Samuel, the eventual champion. Again, we are the Kick a Runners podcast, available right here on YouTube, as well as wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And today we are doing a special live edition for the NCAA Championships. RC says Oakley ran a terrible prelim and was the last qualifier. How cool is that? I didn't realize she was the final one in. So she runs the slowest qualifying mark, but then wins the title. That's pretty awesome. Imagine had she not snuck in there, would have been a different story, but does just enough to qualify and then wins in the final. Sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes that is the way the cookie crumbles. All right. We are back from commercial now here at the track capital of the world in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Men's 400 about to get on the track. Reed asking about a free stream. This is a free live watch party. That's the best we're going to do here. Reacting live to the action. I'm watching on ESPN Plus. But unfortunately, due to copyright, I cannot show the stream and the video footage live. But I'll be providing high energy commentary as it all unfolds live here. Ferdinand says, glad I found this channel. Thank you. I'm glad you found this channel too. I really appreciate that. We are quickly approaching 100 subscribers here on YouTube. So feel free to subscribe if it's your vibe. We mostly do podcasts here, but recently been going live for some of these big events, including the USA Indoor Championships and now the NCAA Indoor Championships. It's been a lot of fun, so I appreciate everybody for tuning in. All right, men's 400 Heat 1 is on the track, about to get underway here. Yes, RC says, with fair use, you can show short clips on replay. I believe by law it is 2 seconds. I believe you're pretty much right there. It's just, for me to be able to show a 2-second clip here, it's just, I'm a one-man army here, and it's a little bit too much for me to handle at once. But something I do is post clips from the live streams with the race footage after the fact on the Instagram page. So you'll see that from some previous meets, what that looks like. So follow us at the Kick Podcast on Instagram, and we'll definitely have some of the clips afterwards. You can also find the NCAA has been doing a pretty good job of posting the races after they happen. Unfortunately, they tend to spoil the result in the thumbnail image or in the title. So we're coming down into the home stretch here in Heat 1 of the men's 400 meters. It's going to be a fast one. Certainly going to be under 45 seconds here. And let's see, 44.85 for the Arkansas athlete in front of a home crowd. The crowd is on their feet clapping. Could both the men's and women's 400 meters be won out of Heat 1 in the final? It's Jordan Pierre of the home team Arkansas winning Section 1 in 44.85. So we'll see if that stands. It's going to have to be a really fast time in Heat 2 to take that time down. So Jordan Pierre of Arkansas making a statement there with a sub 45 400 meters out of Heat 1. Again, the Arkansas crowd loved that one. Their guy, Jordan Pierre, taking the win in Heat 1. We'll see if that is the overall winner. Heat 2 is hoping they have something to say about that. And we'll see that section in just a moment here. RC says very fast. The top qualifier was 44.77. True, and that qualifier will be in that second heat here. So he's going to have to run something similar to what he did yesterday in order to take down Pierre's time from Heat 1. So Section 2 is now taking their lanes. Justin Braun of Florida looking to do something special here. He'll be mixing it up with Alabama's Ogazi. And these men getting set here with their blocks. Section 2 will be underway in just about a minute here. And we're going to crown the men's 400-meter champion at the 2026 Indoor Championships in just a couple of minutes. Jake Palermo of Penn State also in this race. Phenomenal season for Penn State in the middle distance events, 400, 800. The 400's a sprint, but still does some training with that middle distance crew that has been so successful. 4 men were in the 800 prelims. 3 of them will be in the 800 final later today. Fasat of Purdue is in this one as well. And now the crowd goes silent as these 4 men take their marks. And they're off. National title on the line. 44.85 is the time to beat from Heat 1. Justin Braun getting out strong. But it is Ogazi in the lead with a lap to go here. Great positioning for Ogazi. He's going to be tough to catch here. Justin Braun trying to pass him on the inside. Doesn't have enough room to do it. 100 meters to go now. Now Braun trying to go outside. Does he have enough? He does not. It's going to be Ogazi, and he's going to win in a fast enough time to take the title. 44.56 for Ogazi. Corrected to 44.57. Samuel Ogazi of Alabama is your 400-meter champion. Roll Tide. Braun of Florida tried to pass on the inside, then tried to dart back outside, but he just could not get around Ogazi. Justin Braun is going to be second overall, I believe. He was close there. His time should be fast enough to take down Jordan Pierre's, and it is. 44.67 for Justin Braun. He'll be second overall. Pierre falls to third, but it is Samuel Ogazi of Alabama. 44.57. And let's check back in with the live chat here. Appreciate all your comments. Ferdinand says, I usually follow results live and watch highlights later. I'm a big track fan. Jamaica, European, especially Dutch and British. It's just nice to follow, watch along. Appreciate that. Yeah, I agree with you. What I love we're able to do here on these live streams is create a watch party community where we're all able to chime in on what's going down and engage with the results live. So really appreciate that comment. It is the live chat and the viewers and the audience that really makes this interesting. Otherwise, it's just me yapping away. So congratulations to the Alabama athlete, Samuel Ogazi, 400-meter men's champion. I got to say, he looked really good in that race too. He comes through in the lead, at the bell with a lap to go. Justin Braun just trying to find a way around him. Couldn't do it. Convincing win here for the champ, Samuel Loggia. All right, guys. So we're going to another commercial break here on the ESPN Plus broadcast. But after this, we are going to have the highly anticipated women's and men's 800-meter final. It's all going to go down in just a couple of minutes here. Let's hear it in the chat. Who do you got? It's going to be the women's 800 first. Super exciting. We're just moments away from the women's 800-meter final. Let's take a look at the start list here. If I can pull that up. So it's Batista of Arkansas, Dundon of Minnesota, Denise Carubo of Kentucky, the defending indoor champ Michaela Page of North Carolina. She won just a year ago. Sophia Goriaron of Harvard, Gladys Chepnagenic of Clemson, Juliet Whitaker of Stanford, and Sanu Jallo of Arkansas, the home team. Batista from Arkansas as well. So 2 Razorbacks in this thing. Every other team is a flying solo athlete. If I had to make my picks, I'm looking out for Michaela Page again, the defending champ. I'm absolutely looking out for Juliet Whitaker, superstar from Stanford. And of course, Sophia Goriaron, an athlete I'm pretty familiar with as I went to Boston University, and she's running at Harvard, so she was at our BU meets quite often. Her brother Max was my teammate at BU, so good luck to Sophia in this 800 final. Gladys Chepnagenic looked good yesterday. She's definitely a favorite as well. The Clemson junior. She's got the fastest PR coming into this thing. A 158. I believe the only athlete in this field with a sub 159 PR. RC says, on a side note, kudos to Katie Zhang, who broke Mary Kane's indoor 2-mile record yesterday, running 9:37. 3 weeks prior, her 2-mile PR was 10:13, and she had never broke 5 in the mile, always injured. RC, thank you for that insight. I did see that Katie Zhang took the win in a really fast time of 9:37 in a 2-mile high school record. That was pretty incredible over at the New Balance indoor track in Boston. So congrats to her. It was pretty cool. I know she really looks up to Parker Valby, who was holding the tape when she won that thing. So pretty cool that they were able to share that record-breaking moment at the New Balance track. And we are back from commercial break here. We are just moments away from the women's 800 final. Will Michaela Page defend her title? How will Stanford's star Juliet Whitaker fare in this one? Can Gladys Chepnagenic run fast enough to just put the entire field behind her? I bet that is what she is looking to do. And then, of course, Sophia Goriaron of Harvard. Let's hear who you're rooting for in the chat. Who are you predicting to win this thing? The women's 800 is just moments away as these women take the track. Here we go. We're 2 minutes away from crowning a women's 800-meter champion. I get called back here. A little antsy on the line. And it's an official now who is just showing them the line that they cannot step in front of. I think they know that. All right, the women are on their marks once again in this women's 800 final at the 2026 NCAA Indoor Championships, and they are off. Who's it going to be? Michaela Page has a rough start in the back there. Loses a couple steps on the field as she kind of gets a little tripped up. We'll see if that energy expenditure plays a role later in this race. So coming around the second turn here, they're going to cut in, and it is no surprise. Gladys Chepnagenic going to lead this thing early. She's got the fastest PR in this field, and she is looking to make this thing fast. So it's the Clemson Tiger, Gladys Chepnogorich, leading this field of 800 women through 300 meters now. Michaela Page is in second to last. Hopefully she's able to get herself back into the mix here after a rough start. We've got two Arkansas Razorbacks running in front of their home crowd here. They open their first 400 in 58 seconds. A respectable start. Let's see how this third lap plays out. It's all Gladys Chepnogorich thus far, but a lot can change in the 800, and we're going to be approaching the bell lap here. Going into the bell lap, it's still Chepnogorich. Michaela Page is way back there. So is Sofia Gorriaran. I think they're both out of the mix here at this point. So it is Gladys Chepnogorich leading still. She's been leading since the beginning, but now it's Juliet Whitaker making a pass. She's in third, fighting for second, but I think it's going to be Gladys Chepnogorich wire to wire here for the win. It's Gladys Chepnogorich of Clemson taking the win. Juliet Whitaker fades a little bit at the end and I believe falls to fourth after making a surge for second. The winning time, 2 flat, 0.01. Gladys Chepnogorich, congratulations to the Clemson Tiger. She would not be denied. Leads wire to wire here in the women's 800 final. Unfortunate to see a little bit of a tripped up start for UNC's Michaela Page. That might have been what cost her, as she was towards the back of the race the entire time and just could not advance. What a dominant performance from Gladys Chepnogorich. Valiant effort from Juliet Whitaker to try to catch up towards the end, but it was not to be. It was all Gladys Chepnogorich in this one. Sanu Jallo in second and Batista in third. So that is 2 Arkansas Razorbacks getting major points for the home team here. Second and third for the Hogs. Wow. So it's Chepnogorich for the win in 2 flat. Sanu Jallo and Batista go 2-3. Juliet Whitaker in fourth. Michaela Page, unfortunately, way back in 7th. Sofia Gorriaran in last in 8th. Ferdinand says, Juliet Whitaker, Gladys Chepnogorich. Yeah, it was a battle. I mean, shout out to Juliet Whitaker for trying to make a move in that final lap to try to catch Chepnogorich. Just couldn't quite do it and then falls back to fourth. Arkansas snags the 2-3 there. Big time for the team. So congrats to Gladys Chepnogorich of Clemson. She is your 2026 800-meter women's indoor champion. Men's 800 right around the corner here. We're on commercial break now, but in just a couple of minutes, the men's 800 will be on the track. We've got 3 Nittany Lions of Penn State in this men's 800 final. Alan Clay, Yukichi Ishii, and Handel Roban all advancing to the final here for the men's 800. Oregon is represented by James Harding here. And we've got an Ivy Leaguer, Joseph Sakaras of UPenn, the freshman, in the final. Former NCAA champ Rivaldo Marshall of the home team Arkansas is in this thing, along with his teammate Tyrese Taylor. And then it's Peter Narumbe of Texas A&M also rounding out this field. Who's it going to be in this men's 800? Let's hear your predictions in the live chat. Men's 800 is just moments away from getting started here. RC says, very smart that Gladys took out the pace and made the race about who is the best. The men's 800 will be similar. Hopefully both 3000s will not be strategic. Yeah, I think Gladys realized she was probably the fastest 800-meter runner in that field. So the best, most reliable way to get her title was to just make it fast, challenge her competitors to try to go with her. And she just went wire to wire to take the win. And RC, you're predicting that the men's 800 will go similarly. Who do you think it's going to be out of this field who's able to lead wire to wire in that fashion? I don't know that anybody has that big of a gap on anybody. Robon of Penn State has been running really well this season, so maybe he's who you're predicting to have that kind of ability. RC says Sakaras is from Miami. His uncle was my college teammate. Wow, it's a small world. That's pretty cool. That's a really cool fun fact, RC. Thank you for sharing that. Pretty cool. From Miami, and he's now at UPenn. He's listed as a freshman, and he is representing the Ivy League here on the national stage. All right, we are just about a minute away from the scheduled start for the men's 800-meter final. I think we're about 2 minutes behind, though, in this meet. Or maybe not. The men are on the track now for the 800-meter final. 8 athletes who have advanced from the prelim rounds yesterday. 3 of them being Penn State Nittany Lions. Who's it going to be in this final? Will Robon just make this thing fast, similar to the women's final where Gladys Chepnogorich led wire to wire? Arkansas's Rivaldo Marshall might have something to say about that. He has a national title to his name. 2 years ago, won indoors in the 800-meter. All right, and these men are on their marks for the men's 800-meter final, and they are off. Men's 800 final underway here at the NCAA Indoor Championship. 2 home team Arkansas Razorbacks are in this. And early on, it is none other than Handel Robon. Through 200 meters, it is the Nittany Lion Handel Robon leading this thing. Robon probably going to try to do something similar to what Gladys Chepnogorich did in the women's final. Just lead wire to wire, make it fast. Make this field unable to handle the pace that you set. So through 400, it's still Handel Robon opening in a 52.07. A fast start to this thing. It is not tactical. Approaching 300 to go here. It's still Penn State's Handel Robon. Arkansas athletes right behind him. Going into the bell lap. Nothing has changed. It's still Robon. Will Robon be caught? Rivaldo Marshall going to try to pass on the inside, and he does. It's Arkansas's. It's both Rivaldo Marshall and Tyrese Taylor of Arkansas now coming down the home stretch. They're going to go 1-2. The teammates hyping up the home crowd as they cross the line. Tyrese Taylor wins the race. Rivaldo Marshall right with him. They were celebrating and hyping up the crowd as they came into the home stretch. A sweep for the home team there. Guys, this was incredible. Rivaldo Marshall passed Robon on the inside, Tyrese Taylor on the outside, and then they come into the home stretch literally hyping up the crowd. It's as if they didn't even care about the individual title at that point. It could have been Rivaldo. It could have been Tyrese. Tyrese Taylor takes it. Rivaldo Marshall's okay with it. And both of them just hyping up the crowd into the finish. Robon did a lot of the work in this race, but he falls all the way back. Robon lands in 7th, unfortunately. His teammate Alan Clay did take 3rd. Joseph Sakaras in 4th. So shout out to Mr. Miami, who is now in Pennsylvania at the Ivy League institution UPenn. He takes 4th. James Harding of Oregon in 5th. Narumbe in 6th. But it was all Arkansas in this one. 1-2. Tyrese Taylor takes the win. Rivaldo Marshall 2nd. Man, that was wild. I mean, watching 2 men of the same team lead in the national championship at their home track, hyping up the crowd in the home stretch, that's something special. Rivaldo didn't really seem to care that he was not getting the national title. He's content with 2nd as they celebrate together. So congrats to Tyrese Taylor. He is your men's 800-meter champion. Home crowd going crazy here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And that is a wrap for the 800 meters. Women's champ and men's champ both crowned here. What are your thoughts? Let's hear it in the live chat. As we are between events here now, after the 800s, let's hear what you've got to say in the live chat. Wonder if I can start a poll here. That'd be fun. Let's start a poll. Let's start a poll for the women's 3K. All right, let's get a poll going here as we're between events. This will be the first ever poll on the Kick live stream. Who will win the women's 3K? Let's see, how many options can we have? Only 4 options. All right, so we're going to have to pick 3 athletes, and then we'll have an other category. All right, who are we going to pick as the 3 athletes? I think we're definitely going to have to throw Selma El-Badra in there. Who watched Selma El-Badra's final lap of that DMR yesterday? South Carolina brought them back into the mix. They take 2nd. That was pretty incredible for Selma El-Badra. And I'm not going to include Doris Lemengole in this poll just because we've heard that Doris has scratched the 3K. I hope that it is not so. Yeah, I am getting confirmation now. Doris Lemengole will scratch out of the NCAA 3K, a foot issue that she has been dealing with for weeks. That is really unfortunate to hear. Kind of crazy that she's been dealing with it for weeks, and she ran that 5K on it yesterday. That's rough. Maybe that aggravated it even worse, and they decided, you know what, we can't have her out there for this 3K. Sorry to hear that for Doris. So Doris is going to be out in the women's 3K. Doris Lemengole of Alabama, out with a foot injury. She has scratched. So let's get this poll going. Who will win the women's 3K? Got to put Jane Hedegren in here for sure. Salma El-Badra. And I'm going to put my good friend in here. Sleeper pick, Vera Huaberry of UNC. She shocked the world outdoors in the 5K, placing 2nd last June. And I was her teammate at Boston University for 4 years. She's doing her grad year at UNC. So definitely a little biased here, but I'm rooting for Vera to have a great race. She's a good friend of mine, great athlete. I mean, unfortunately, I can only put 4 options, so only 3 athletes in this poll. And then an other. I think other might have a good chance of winning here, considering we've got athletes like Riley Chamberlain, Pamela Kosgei, Jenna Hutchins, Shalana Yildiz doubling back, or quadrupling back, really. Hilda Olomomwe of Florida. All right, the poll should be live now. Feel free to leave a vote. Who do you think is going to win the women's 3K? If you pick other, please specify in the comments who your pick is. Again, if you pick other in the poll, let us know who do you think is going to win in that women's 3K. All right, we're back from commercial break here now. And the next event on the track is going to be the women's 200 meters. So a fun one indoors, 1 lap around the oval. So I believe Illinois is still in the lead for the women's team standings. But apparently they really missed the mark in the, was it the triple jump or the high jump? There was an event earlier where they had 3 women, and I don't think any of them scored. Yeah, Illinois was supposed to score points in the women's triple jump, and none of their 3 women scored. Ferdinand, I know you're picking Doris Lemengole for the women's 3K, but unfortunately, she has scratched. She will not be participating in the event. Really, really disappointing to see that. She is dealing with a foot injury that is going to keep her out today. So a bummer that Alabama's Doris Lemengole will not be in the 3K. RC says the big unknown in the women's 3K is Allie Zealand, who is lightly raced and is only 3 seconds behind the now second best time. Yeah, Zealand is somebody to watch out for sure. I think one of the most intriguing fields in the entire meet is the women's 3K. There are so many athletes who could make a run at this. And I'm wondering if Jane Hedengren makes things a little more tactical now that Doris isn't in the race. She can kind of dictate if she wants it to be a little more tactical. I think she has a lot of faith in her kick, but she really shouldn't be discounting the other women in this 3K who have great finishes like Salma Al-Badra, Shalana Yildiz. A lot of fast, strong finishers in this. All right, women's 200 meters, section 1. They're off. 1 lap around the track, and in heat 1, it looks like it's a Florida athlete. She'll run 22.56. It's Matthews of Florida. Officially 22.55 for the Gator. Gabrielle Matthews. Senior for Florida, Gabrielle Matthews, winning heat 1 of the women's 200. Strong time, 22.55. 22.55. So that'll set the standard. It's a PR for Matthews. Did everything she could there. And now we will see how it stacks up to the following heat. India Mayberry was in that first heat. She placed 3rd for TCU. She won last year. Zach, the runner, says Jane got this. Yeah, I mean, I think Jane's got to be considered the favorite, but I could see this women's 3K going a lot of different ways. Looked really strong in the 5K yesterday, but can't discount the fatigue that could, play a role for here in the 3K, but a lot of these women's 3K entries are also double, tripling and even quadrupling back. An athlete like Shalana Yildiz has run 3 events already, brought in a ton of points for the Oregon Ducks. So the poll right now, we've got Jane Hedengren in the lead here. Vera's got a vote. Shout out Vera. Other has some votes. If you voted Other in the poll, who do you think is going to win this women's 3K? Unfortunately, Doris Lemongole will not be competing in the women's 3K. She is scratching due to a foot injury. So the next heat of the women's 200 meter, taking their blocks now. Elise Cooper, Cameron Dixon, Hodge, and Ford are in this second section. RC says, hopefully the women learned a lesson from the mile and it's not tactical. That allows the tired runners a chance. That's true. Good point, RC. I could see it going a lot of different ways. I think it's a matter of who decides to lead, and then their plan will be what dictates the race. And I think Jane is the most likely athlete to take the lead. She likes running from the front. Ferdinand predicts Jane to win and Shalana Yildiz second. I think that is a solid prediction. All right, section 2 of the women's 200 meters. They are on their marks. The time to beat from section 1 is 22.55. Let's see if any of these women can take down that fast first heat mark. Deja Hodges in the lead. Oh my gosh, this is going to crush the first heat's time. 22.20. Deja Hodge of Georgia. She'll take the win. That's 10 points for Georgia. Hodge celebrating an incredible win. That's one of the fastest women's 200 meters I've ever seen. Congratulations to Hodge of Georgia. I believe she's only a freshman. Runs 22.2. That's got to be one of the fastest 200 meters I've ever seen. Congratulations to Deja Hodge of Georgia. They're saying 22.22 for the official time now. My goodness. That's a facility record here, they're saying. Congratulations to Hodge of Georgia. That's 10 points for her team. And they are now interviewing Hodge. Post-race, she is all smiles. So Hodge wrapping up her interview. Congratulations to the Georgia freshman there. 22.22. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling that 22.22 is one of the fastest 200 meters from a woman ever. All right, and we are back to another commercial break. So this gives us an opportunity to welcome in some of the new viewers who have just joined. I know a lot of people are going to be joining for the 3Ks coming up shortly. Be commentating it all. This is the Kick, a Runner's podcast. We have guests on from every level of the sport. some great episodes recently. We had professional runner Wes Porter, 350 miler on just 2 days ago. Earlier this week, we had Tegan Scheinbecker on the kick. She's a Brooks Beast for the Seattle Pro team. We've had national champions on. We've had national record holders on. And today we are having a special live edition for the NCAA Indoor Championships, reacting live to everything. We can't show the race footage here. I know a lot of people are curious. Wish I could. Believe me, I wish I could just put the live stream that I'm watching on ESPN Plus right here on your screen. But cannot do that due to copyright. You know the deal. But I will be providing high energy commentary for the rest of the meet. And we're looking to set a new record here on the kick. Yesterday, we had 3,000 viewers total. And that really picked up for the 5Ks. So I think once these 3Ks get a little closer, we're going to get some more viewers in here. Be sure to leave a like. It's free. Be sure to subscribe. It's free. And share this link with your runner friends who might be interested in tuning in if they don't have ESPN Plus, or if they just want a place where they can engage with the community that's passionate about the sport. We've got some great commenters in live chat thus far today. Ferdinand is our top commenter. RC is right behind him in second, and Zach the runner in third. So appreciate everybody for your comments. And we are back in Fayetteville, Arkansas after the commercial break. Women's 200 meter was just run in a facility record time. Hodge of Georgia, 22.22. And we're going to have the men's 200 meters up next here as they are taking the track. 4 men on the track here now for section 1 of the men's 200 meter final. McCoy of Florida. He won the SEC. Great sprinting conference in the NCAA. The Florida Gator McCoy looking for a national title now. Amir Thompson. He's the Big 12 200 meter champion. So he'll be representing the Arizona State University squad here in Arkansas. And these men are taking their blocks for the 200 meter final here, section 1. Do we have any sprinter fans in the chat? Again, I come from a distance background, so I know more about those events, but always fun to see the 200 meters on the indoor oval, 1 lap around. Phenomenal athletes. And the crowd goes silent here as these men are on their marks, ready to witness a blazing fast 1 lap. And they are off. Section 1 of the men's 200 meter here at the 2026 Indoor Championships. Amir Thompson pulls a muscle and he is out of it. The Arizona State athlete stops running. Unfortunate to see that. Looks like it might have been a hamstring. 20.15 for the win. Goes Florida. McCoy sets a PR here. Still looks a little disappointed coming off the line. A bummer for Thompson. Maybe he was distracted by him pulling that muscle. I don't know if it affected McCoy or not, but he is unhappy. Well, he'll definitely be happy if he sees that his 20.17 holds for the NCAA title here. We'll have Heat 2 coming up in just a second. Thanks to everybody who's voted in the poll for the women's 3K. I'm interested to see 0 votes for South Carolina's Salma Al-Badra. Certainly a contender here will be Al-Badra, but she might have some tired legs after the ridiculous 1,600-meter leg she closed down in yesterday, bringing her team into second place. So now the men's team standings, Arkansas is in the lead with 51.5 points. They are way in front of Oregon, who only has 29 points. So the home team, Arkansas, is looking really good for the men's team title. They call it the track capital of the world for a reason. Oregon representing Track Town, USA, away from home here in second, but it'll be tough for them to catch the Razorbacks. So now Jelani Watkins is back on the track after running a strong 60-meter dash earlier. He will now be taking on Section 2 of the men's 200 final. Welcome, welcome everybody. We are on to the men's 200 Section 2 now. Moments away from that starting, and we're going to crown the men's 200-meter national champion for the 2026 NCAA Indoor Championships as they take their blocks now. There's something special about the silence that takes over the entire building when these sprinters take their marks. Do we have any sprinters in the chat? Any fans of the sprints? Most of our audience here is distance oriented. All right, and they are off here. Men's 200 Section 2. Moments away from crowning a national champion. Jelani Watkins looks really strong here. He ran a good 60-meter earlier. The time to beat is 20.17. These men are flying. And it looks like he's going to go sub 20. It's not Watkins. 1995 for the USC athlete. I believe he was the leading time coming into this thing. Garrett Kalund. And I think that's the first time that anyone in the NCAA has broken 20 seconds in the 200. Jelani Watkins looked really strong, but going into the home stretch, Garrett Kalund just took over. And he just was not slowing down at all. It was like he was accelerating into that home stretch. Garrett Kalund with the win in the men's 200 in sub 20 fashion. How about that? Ferdinand says, I'm distance but follow all events. I respect that a lot. Yeah, I'd say I'm distance and I mostly follow distance, but I'm starting to try to dabble more into the other events. But certainly my knowledge is in the longer distance events. So Jelani Watkins actually fell to third place there. And it was Heat 1's winner, Wanya McCoy of Florida, who got second overall. Garrett Kalund is all smiles here. He is your 2026 men's 200-meter NCAA indoor champion. Collegiate record. The first ever collegian to run under 20 seconds in the 200. 19.95. Absolutely flying. You heard it here first. There's a new record holder in the men's 200 for the NCAA. And it does not begin with a 2-0. It begins with a 1-9. Thank you so much to everybody who has joined so far tonight. We've got some exciting events on deck. Up next, it'll be the 60-meter hurdles. And then after that, the marquee event of the night for fans of distance running. It's the women's and men's 3Ks. Unfortunately, Doris Lemengole will not be competing on the women's side. She's dealing with a foot injury. And we are on another commercial break here leading into the 60-meter hurdles. So let's take a moment to get that live chat popping again. We've got Steven. Thank you for your comment. X800 meter runner here. It's a sprint these days. Yeah, I've actually seen the 800 meters get written as a sprint or as a dash, like not the 800 meter run anymore, but the 800 meter dash. So crazy to be considering what has historically been a middle distance event now as a sprint, but yeah, it is kind of becoming a sprint. And a lot of 400 meter athletes are moving up to that 800 and running really well. Right here on the kick, we just 2 weeks ago had Will Sumner, one of the greatest 800 meter talents in the world. We had him on the podcast for a great episode. So if you haven't listened to that, definitely bookmark it, save it for later. The episode with Will Sumner was a very special episode here on the podcast. He's coming back from injury. He'll be racing outdoors this year, and he broke that news right here exclusively on the kick. He was a phenomenal guest. You might know him as the national champion in the 800 from a couple years ago, representing Georgia as a freshman. He won the outdoor 800 title and then went pro with Adidas. We talk about all of what went into that and what his future is looking like. So shout out to Will Sumner. He was a recent guest right here on the kick. You can listen here on YouTube as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But we're talking about 800s. Hard not to talk about recent guest Will Sumner. Let me know in the chat, have you listened to the Will Sumner podcast episode? Do you plan on listening to it now? Really appreciate everybody engaging in the live chat. Let's get things popping. We've got the 3Ks coming up soon. Of course, the 60-meter hurdles will be before that. Always a fun event to watch. Can't say I'm an expert on the 60-meter hurdles, but we'll be checking that out when they return from commercial here in just a minute. We have a poll that has gotten a good amount of responses here for who will win the women's 3K. Jane Hedingren is the favorite right now from our listeners. I am surprised that Salma El Badra has 0 votes. She is certainly a contender here for South Carolina. Maybe a bit of a sleeper pick. She's on the quieter side, but when you see what she throws down, like yesterday in that DMR, she is dangerous. All right, we are back from commercial here now, and we are about to get started with the women's 60-meter hurdles. They are announcing the athletes, and they will be taking their marks shortly. Meet record was set by an Arkansas athlete in 2023, Akara Nugent. Oregon Ducks are represented in this one by Aaliyah McCormick. She was the Big Ten indoor champion. So will it be the Ducks taking the win in this 60-meter hurdles? They would certainly like to for the team score race. They were my prediction to win the women's side of the team competition, the Oregon Ducks. I was super impressed with how both Shalana Yildiz and Wilma Nielsen were able to compete in so many events and get points. Yildiz will be returning again for her 4th event of the meet in the 3K in just about 15 minutes. RC, thank you for your comment in the live chat. RC says Oregon needs a top 2 finish in the women's hurdles and must hope the Georgia hurdler finishes near the back. If this happens, it comes down to Yildiz against Georgia's 4x4. Yes, the stakes are high now. Well put, RC. So this is really important to monitor how this goes. So let's see how Oregon's athlete and Georgia's athlete fares here in the women's 60-meter hurdles. Oregon needs a big finish here. I'm sure that Yildiz is watching, hoping that her teammate does well here because she's got a tall order in front of her for the 3K. And they are off here in the women's 60-meter hurdles. Oregon looks good, and it's McCormick of Oregon taking the win. 10 points for the Ducks. That is exactly what they needed, and she screams out in joy, goes down to the floor, can't believe it. She is so happy right now. Congratulations to McCormick of Oregon. Right when her team needed it most, she comes through with a win in the 60-meter hurdles. 10 points for the Ducks. And you know that Oregon is watching this thrilled. Shalana Yildiz now knows that she's in a good spot. If she can get some points for her team, they'll have a chance to beat Georgia. That Georgia women's 4x4 is going to be looking to take the lead back in the final event of the day. But now the stage is set for a total battle between Oregon and Georgia. Maddie Cooper in that 60-meter hurdles placed 6th. So gets some points, but not much. That is definitely advantage Oregon here. Annalise says, nice new angle. Yes, so we have a new angle, new setup here on the kick. We're upgrading that live stream. Hope it's sounding good, looking good for all of you listeners. Really appreciate you doing our best here to create the best product possible. Zach the Runner says, Oregon always doing the most. Agreed. Got to credit them. They have really shown up for this meet. They've doubled, they've tripled, and they will soon be quadrupling their athlete, Shalana Yildiz. So shout out to the Ducks for really putting everything out here. Annalise says, I love hurdles. Yeah, really fun event to watch there. That was super exciting. McCormick got out hot. She kind of led the whole way, finished strong, and then when she finished, realizing she was in first, she went down to the track and just was screaming, shouting joy. So congrats to Oregon there. It's going to be a battle between Oregon and Georgia for the women's team title. Shalana Yildiz will be taking the track in the 3K soon. Georgia, of course, will have a competitive 4x4 to wrap up the meet, and we'll see how it all wraps up. Zach the Runner says, Northeast is always in our hearts. Yes. I've been Northeast for both high school and college, so definitely like my Northeast teams, but don't think it's going to be a Northeast team winning the women's or men's team title today. So RC says Georgia is now up by 1 point. So officially it is a 1 point lead for Georgia. Thank you, RC, for that update. Shalana Yildiz needs to run well here. I don't know. It's a pretty tall order for her. This is her 4th event of the meet. And she's got a lot of really strong women that she's going to be competing against here. It's going to be tough. I could see it going a number of ways. I don't think she'll win. You know, you've got athletes like Jane Hedengren, who is clearly the favorite, and our kick listeners have voted her as the top favorite for winning this thing. Salma Al-Badra is a little fresher than Yildiz. She'll be dangerous. My old BU teammate, Vera Huaberry, now representing UNC for her grad year. She will be a threat, and I will be rooting for her for sure. But it's going to be a battle, and we will definitely be commentating all the action and keeping in mind that Shalana Yildiz is a woman on a mission here to try to get her team enough points to secure the women's team victory. Ferdinand says, well done, Ducks. Absolutely. That was huge for them in the women's hurdles to get 10 points, put themselves in striking distance here with Georgia. But there is a reasonable chance that Shalana Yildiz could even fall out of scoring position in this stacked women's 3K. This is a field with just, it's one of the most competitive 3K fields I've ever seen. I mean, you've got multiple women from BYU who are all contenders for scoring. Of course, Jane Hedengren. You've got Riley Chamberlain. I think Riley Chamberlain is a sleeper pick here. She didn't have the best race in the mile earlier, and I think she will be out for redemption here. Jenna Hutchins, I believe, is completely fresh here for BYU. She's a really strong 3K runner. Zach says, what college did you run and what were your high school and college times? I won't get into too many of the details, but I did run at Boston University. That's me back there. Little painting they gave all the graduates of our team. So I ran cross country and track at Boston University. And yes, if you want to check out my TFERs and results online, feel free to do so. But I graduated and finished up my collegiate career last year, and it was the best of times. Made a lot of great memories and friends running for the Terriers. All right, so men's 60-meter hurdles is now taking the track. Announcing the athletes now, and they'll be taking their marks shortly. And we'll see how this all goes down. Of course, the collegiate record is Grant Holloway, who ran for Florida in his college days. Don't think it's super likely that we'll see that record go down, but you never know. Malachi Snow might be your best shot at taking a shot at it. He's representing Texas Tech, Big 12 champion here. So men's 60-meter hurdles, just moments away from getting started here. Ferdinand asks, who's mid-distance coach at Oregon? I don't know. I don't know if they have a specific middle distance coach. They probably do, given that they are one of the most well-funded programs in the country, funded by Oregon, funded by Nike. Nike started at Oregon, and they are very well funded there. So I'm sure that their coaching staff is pretty deep with specialty coaches. All right, men's 60-meter hurdles. The men are taking their marks now. Malachi Snow, perhaps the favorite in this one. But in a race this short and technical, anything can happen. Crowd is silent here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Runners set, and they are off. Tharp is out really fast, and nobody's going to catch Tharp. As long as he stays clean over these hurdles, he's going to win. Jacoby Tharp. And we said that the collegiate record wouldn't be going down, but it does. Jacoby Tharp takes down Grant Holloway's collegiate record. 7.32 is your new collegiate record here. The Auburn athlete, Jacoby Tharp, runs 7.32 to take down one of the greatest athletes ever, Grant Holloway. My goodness. Jacoby Tharp was out fast, maintained his lead, was perfect over every hurdle, and Jacoby Tharp wins the national title in record-breaking fashion. When you take down Grant Holloway record, you know you did something special. He didn't make contact with any hurdles until the second to last hurdle. He was nearly perfect, and that resulted in a 7.32 time for Jacoby Tharp, the new collegiate record holder in the men's 60 hurdles. AGGR5000 says, can't find live stream besides ESPN Plus, which my VPN doesn't work on. Yeah, so the ESPN Plus is where the races are being streamed. So if you don't have ESPN Plus, I recommend joining here. I'm giving you the live watch party. Jazz says, give us a little peek. Wish I could. So for those who are joining in now, I know we're going to have a lot of new viewers joining for these 3Ks, which are right around the corner. So welcome to the kick. We are doing a special live edition here today for the 2026 NCAA Indoor Championships. We are going to be live reacting. So it's a watch party. I'm going to be reacting to what I see on the ESPN Plus stream. Unfortunately, due to copyright, I can't show it on screen here, but I've got the live chat going as well. So leave your thoughts. Who are you rooting for? Who do you think is going to win? And I'll be commentating it all with the highest energy in the game. Even if you do have ESPN Plus, feel free to keep this on and engage with the community as we watch history go down here at the NCAA Indoor Championships. 3Ks are right around the corner here. Marquee event of the night. Jazz says the bright side is we don't need to listen to Kara Goucher. RC says Holloway's world record is 7.27. That was probably the best in the world this year. Yeah, so 7.32 was just run for the collegiate record here in the men's 60 hurdles. Congratulations to Jacoby Tharp of Auburn, taking down a Grant Holloway record. Amazing way to wrap up the hurdles here. And we are just moments away from the 3K. It's going to be the women first. We recently got unfortunate news that Alabama's Doris Lemongole has scratched due to a foot injury. But that doesn't mean that it won't be a battle. Jane Hedengren will not be alone here, as competitors like Shalana Yildiz for Oregon is fighting for team points. Just 1 point behind Georgia here, but she'll probably need more than that to hold off their 4x4, which will be ending the meet. Salma Al-Badra of South Carolina is in this one. A couple other BYU athletes like Riley Chamberlain and Jenna Hutchins are going to be in this thing. What an exciting race this is going to be. So here we go. We've got a live poll going on right now for the women's 3K. Who you got? Right now, Jane Hedengren is in the lead in our poll. The Kick audience thinks that she's got the best shot at winning. But she's only at 56%, so it's close. Salma Al-Badra only has 1 vote. That's a surprise to me. She's definitely a contender here. Ferdinand says, Cole Hawker, Cooper Tier, Jessica Hall, all Ducks. True. Oregon Ducks produce some of the greatest runners of all time. So, it's true. I mean, it's for my money, probably the greatest track collegiate program, both men's and women's overall, just of all time. I have been lucky enough to attend the NCAA Outdoor Championships in Oregon the last 2 years, and Tracktown USA is really something special. If you haven't been out to Hayward Field, definitely try to make a trip out there. It's really special. Steve Prefontaine certainly made his mark and is one of the most inspirational stories in all of running. He's well represented in the history on campus at Oregon and in Eugene, Oregon. All right, everybody, we're getting a lot of viewers coming in here now, tuning in to what is going to be a very exciting women's 3K. The ESPN Plus broadcast is on commercial right now, but when they come back, it's going to be 3K time. Cannot wait to see how this all develops. We've got team titles on the line. We've got, obviously, individual national titles on the line. And we've got one of the most stacked 3K fields in history about to take this thing on. And then, of course, looming on the men's side, we've got Marco Langen going after a national title. He was so close yesterday. Second place for Marco Langen in that 5K. He'll take another shot at it in the 3K today, but guys like Colin Salmon are going to be tough to beat. Thank you to all the voters in our live poll. This is the first live poll we've ever done on a Kick live stream, and certainly a fun one. Might have to end that poll soon and do a poll for the men's race, but we'll keep it up for a little longer. So get your votes in. Who will win the women's 3K? If your pick is not included in the poll, leave it in the chat. Who do you think is going to win this women's 3K? All right, everybody. We are back now, and it is the women's 3,000 meters. These athletes are taking the line, highly anticipated. They are now showing Jane Hedengren, who is smiling on the line here. She is starting next to Salma Al-Badra, who is one of her biggest threats to win this thing. So pretty cool that on the starting line, you've got BYU's Jane Hedengren and South Carolina's Salma Al-Badra starting next to each other. Shalana Yildiz of Oregon taking on her 4th event of this meet. Kudos to the Oregon Duck doing everything she can for her team. Let's see if she can come away with some points for her Ducks here. A lot of pressure on her. Hopefully she is feeling ready to go. You can't blame her if she's not able to make it happen here. She has done so much for her team to even be in this position. And Vera Huaberry steps over the starting line a little bit here. That's my friend, former teammate, spent 4 years on the team with her at BU, and now she's doing her grad year at UNC. A little bit of nerves there. The official will come talk to her, and they're going to get this thing started in just a moment. Live chat, let's get this thing going crazy. And they are off. Women's 3K. Here we go. Women's 3K national title on the line here. This is what we have waited for. Vera Huaberry on the outside is leading early. We'll see how everything looks when they cut in and join the inside runners here. It looks like the inside is going to have the lead. It is none other than Jane Hedengren of BYU. Not a surprise here, taking the lead early. So it's the freshman phenom who won the 5K yesterday, Jane Hedengren, alone at the front here, taking the lead, and it is single file behind her. No Doris Lemongole in this thing. She is out with a foot injury. Jane Hedengren leading this thing early. Her teammate Riley Chamberlain in the back. Ronnie Maleo in the chat, former guest here on the kick. Welcome, Ronnie. He says, let's go, Vera. We are Vera fans here on the kick, that is for sure. The former BU athlete and teammate of mine, now representing UNC. Let's see what she can do for the Tar Heels here. She was second outdoors in the 5K last year. She's certainly an athlete to watch, but right now it is Jane Hedengren leading this thing. Jane Hedengren keeping things pretty relaxed here, and the rest of the field content to just line up single file behind her. But it is a pretty big gap considering they are single file. Riley Chamberlain, her teammate, is in last place right now, and it is a long 20-meter line of women here. That does play a role. Shalana Yildiz is also towards the back. She'll need to improve her position as this race develops if she wants to get her Ducks some points. So in first, it's Jane Hedengren. Hilda Olamomoy of Florida following her in second. And in third, it's Pamela Kosgei. About 70 seconds for that last 400-meter split. Relatively honest pace here, but very manageable and steady for Jane. Keeping things honest is the freshman from BYU, Jane Hedengren, who just won her first NCAA title last night in the women's 5K. 10 laps remain here in the women's 3K. Jane Hedengren leading things as expected. And in these next few laps, things are really going to start to string out if Jane starts to pick this pace up. Strong pace. Clicking away 70-second 400s here. Pretty much everybody in the race, but I am surprised to see BYU's Riley Chamberlain in dead last here. The gap is starting to widen. I would say she's about 30 meters now in this single file line of women. It's gaps like that that are going to be really hard to close when things start to pick up here. You want to get that position now. Shalana Yildiz attached still. But this pace is starting to make some of these women struggle as little gaps are opening in the line of single file women right now. AG asks, what's the pace? Fast or tactical? They are clicking away 70-second 400 splits right now. So I would say somewhere in between fast and tactical, but on the faster side. Jane is starting to look like she's going to pick things up now. 7 laps to go here. It's Jane Hedengren at the front, Pamela Gosgei behind her, and they are starting to pick things up. Shalana Yildiz is falling back now. She looks to be in about 10th. That's not going to be enough to get her Ducks the team win. Jane Hedengren's pace is starting to open up a gap on these ladies, and Oregon's Shalana Yildiz is starting to fall off. This is her 4th event of the meet, so it's going to be tough for Shalana to get back into this thing. She does have a strong finish. Former collegiate record holder in the mile. She can really move. She was in the DMR 800-meter leg yesterday. So Yildiz, if she has anything left, is going to have to pass a couple of women to put her team in winning position. But right now, it's all Jane Hedengren at the front of this 3K, starting to turn things up. Pamela Gosgei behind Jane. It looks like it's going to be Jane Hedengren versus Pamela Gosgei for the win as they start to wind this thing up. Vera Huaberry is still in that lead pack. She's got a chance at first team All-American for sure. Watch out for Salma Al-Badra, who's also in the mix. She's got a really strong kick. But now it's Jane Hedengren opening up a gap here on Gosgei. Jane Hedengren with a 10-meter lead now on the field. 4 laps remain here, 800 to go, and Jane Hedengren is just dropping the field right now, similar to the 5K yesterday, but even more convincing here. No Doris to chase her. It is all Jane Hedengren with 700 to go now. She's all alone. This is just a dominant performance. They are showing Diljit Taylor now looking almost a little concerned watching as Jane is maybe going a little too fast too soon for her liking, but Jane is looking good. It's 3 laps to go now for Jane Hedengren. I don't think she has anything to worry about. She's probably going after a collegiate record right now. Her coach, Diljit Taylor, looks a little bit concerned that she might be pushing things a little too fast. If she were to fade here, it could leave an opportunity for the rest of the women in this race to get back into it. Gonna be approaching 400 to go here in this women's 3K, and it's all Jane Hedengren. Don't sleep on Shalana Yildiz, says Ferdinand. Well, she is currently not even on screen. It is all Jane Hedengren. She is gonna be totally undisputed here. I mean, unchallenged. We don't even see any other athletes on the screen right now. Jane Hedengren has totally dropped the field. She will be your winner. Hasn't even hit the bell lap yet, and it's clear. And now it is the bell lap. Jane Hedengren has a convincing lead. She won her first national title yesterday in the women's 5K. Now trying to go back-to-back and win the women's 3K today. No Doris Lemongole to challenge her. The Alabama athlete scratched with a foot injury. Jane Hedengren is going after this thing. She's got the win. How fast will the time be? The BYU freshman phenom takes the win, representing BYU over the line with a smile and pointing to her BYU singlet. But let's see the battle for second. It's going to be Gosgei. Vera Huaberry with the strong finish. She passes Salma Al-Badra. Shalana Yildiz making a move, but I don't think she's in the top 8. Shalana Yildiz will not do enough to get Oregon the team points necessary to beat Georgia. Georgia clinches the women's team title. A lot going on here, but Jane Hedengren is the storyline here. Jenna Hutchins and Riley Chamberlain really struggled in that one. BYU athletes struggled other than Jane. Jane pushed things really fast. Her teammates Hutchins and Riley Chamberlain were not able to stick with that. Now Jane is talking to her teammate Jenna Hutchins after what was a bit of a rough race for Jenna. Nice to see that camaraderie and teammates supporting teammates. Jane Hedingren's last 800 meters was 2:15. She was going for the record, and she sets the meet record 8:36.61. Not an NCAA record, but the NCAA championship meet record for Jane Hedingren, 8:36.61. Congratulations to the freshman at BYU who has now won back-to-back. She just won the 5K last night, wins the 3K today. Undisputed, 2 days in a row. Jane Hedingren, phenomenal performance. Pamela Kosgei comes in second, and her teammate Marian Chepnagenic of New Mexico comes in third. Betty Kipkore of Iowa State is fourth. Allie Zealand with a strong fifth place finish. Shout out to Zealand. She was really making a move. She was in second place for a while. She then gets passed back by the New Mexico Lobos, but she does finish fifth. Vera Huaberry takes sixth, so congratulations to Vera, my former teammate at BU, now representing North Carolina for her grad year. She runs 8:48 to place sixth and secure first team All-American, which is funny to say because she is a Swedish athlete, but All-American in the NCAA. She'll be representing Sweden next week in Poland at the World Championships. Congratulations to Vera. In seventh was Salma El-Badra, 8:49.4. And Bila Jepkarui in eighth for Oklahoma State. So, solid meet for Bila after her performance in the mile. Hilda Olomomwe was ninth for Florida. And then it was Shalana Yildiz back in 13th, unfortunately, for the Ducks. But that was a big ask for her to come back in her fourth event to try to get points for her team, especially when you've got somebody like Jane Hedingren pushing the pace for a meet record at the front. That is a recipe for disaster when it is your fourth event of the meet. She would have benefited from maybe things being a little more tactical. But the women's 3K here at the Indoor National Championships is in the books. I'm going to catch up with your live chats now as we go to commercial break and prepare for the men's 3K. Zach the runner says, better be jumping out of your seat for this next race. I don't know if I'll be jumping out of my seat physically because I don't want to mess up the whole setup I've got here. It's a little precarious if you could see what I've got going on. We've got a new setup, new angles here. Hopefully better quality for all you listeners and watchers. But I will be definitely jumping out of my seat in spirit as this is the event I am most excited to see. Will Marco Langen get a national title in this men's 3K? We are about to find out. That race will be going off in just a matter of minutes. FOVY says, record watch, what's the time? Yes, so meet record goes down. Jane Hedingren sets a meet record with an 8:36, I believe it was the official time. Yes, 8:36.6 for Jane Hedingren sets the meet record. Eli says the pace is quite fast. It was fast. Ronnie says, awesome job, Vera. Yes, congrats to Vera. 6th place for first team All-American. Congratulations to the former BU Terrier and current UNC Tar Heel. As we return from commercial break here, it's time for the men's 3K. Going to catch up with some live chats before this thing gets started. We've got 8:36 is sub 8:30 on the Boston track. Good point. Yeah, I mean, I know a thing or two about the BU track. Fastest indoor track in the world. I agree with you there. Zach says, get excited. Yes. Steven says, is UGA already the winners? Yes. Georgia is your winner for the women's team title. Yeah, so congrats. You're a Georgia alum, so congrats to your Georgia women's squad for getting the win. It is official. Shalana Yildiz doesn't get it done for Oregon in that final 3K event, but she did everything she could with 4 events. Shout out to Shalon for a really strong meet. Ethan says, can you just let us watch the men's? I wish I could let you physically watch the video footage here, but I would get taken down for copyright. So in order to keep this stream going, we're going to live react, commentate with high energy live here as I watch on ESPN Plus, and I'm going to be providing high energy commentary for this entire men's 3K. The men are on the line. Haptem Samuel is back. He's in this one. He tends to benefit more from the longer distances, so he was the champion in the 5K yesterday, but can't count him out in the 3K. Colin Solomon of NAU looked dangerous yesterday, closing out the DMR for his NAU Lumberjacks. And we've got guys like Colton Sands of UNC, the freshman Tavon Kitchen of BYU, Ruben Reyna of Washington, George Cootie, Virginia Tech, and of course, Marco Langen. This is a stacked men's 3K. 5 Oregon men in this thing, including Simeon Birnbaum. Early, it's going to be the freshman of BYU, Tavon Kitchen, leading this thing. Tavon Kitchen, he is a bold, aggressive racer. He likes to lead things and push the pace, and that's what he'll do here. So it's Kitchen of BYU leading this thing through 300 meters. And it is Kitchen's teammate of BYU in second. They clearly planned on making this thing fast. Kitchen in the lead here, trying to push the pace already. So this will not be a tactical race in the men's 3K. It will be a fast one, as the BYU duo is not letting this thing go out slow. How will this affect the race? Colin Solomon is towards the back along with Marco Langen as they watch on the leaders who clearly are showing that they want this thing to be fast. Marco moving up a little bit now, realizing that getting in position now is going to be important. This is not a race where guys are going to be able to wait around. They are moving. Haptem Samuel, the 5K champion, he sits in third right now behind the BYU duo, who is really pushing this thing. Colin Solomon has moved up to fifth with Marco Langen in sixth. Colton Sands behind them. Simeon Birnbaum behind them. When you just see the names who are in this, it's like a ridiculously stacked field. Something's got to give. Not all of them can be a winner here. Not all of them can even be All-American. When you look at the depth of this field, it's going to be so interesting to see how this all plays out. It's all BYU early, putting this thing on a really fast pace. What do we think, guys? Is Marco Langen going to get a national title here? Going to start a poll here as this race continues to develop. Will Marco Langen win the men's 3K? Poll just went live. We've got will Marco Langen win the men's 3K. Leave your vote now as this race develops. He's currently sitting in sixth behind Colin Solomon. The leaders are the BYU duo. Tavon Kitchen, the freshman, likes to take things out hot, and he did so today. Simeon Birnbaum now moving outside, looking like he wants to make a pass. Marco Langen now follows him. A little bit of elbowing going on here. Simeon Birnbaum and Marco Langen getting a little bit physical here. Nothing too crazy. I would watch out if I were Simeon. Marco is not really a guy you want to mess with. And he defers to Marco as Marco now goes in front of Simeon as he makes a move up into fourth. All right, guys. This men's 3K is going to start to wind up here now. 7 laps to go. BYU freshman Tavon Kitchen leads this thing. Can you imagine? What if BYU swept the 3K with the women's and men's, both freshmen, winning? Jane just won the 3K moments ago. Could Tavon Kitchen win the men's race? You never know. He does race pretty aggressive here, though. I could see him getting passed soon. Habtum Samuel now looking like he wants to take the lead, and he does. Could Habtum repeat just like Jane did, the 5K, 3K double? Habtum won last night in the 5K, and now he takes the lead. The BYU men are starting to fade and fall back. It's now Habtum Samuel in the lead. Marco Langen following. Remind you of something? Colin Salmon is behind them. He's in striking distance, and he has to be the favorite if this comes down to a kick. Simeon Birnbaum is right next to him. He's got a strong finish. Butler's Jesse Hamlin is moving up into the mix now. It's Habtum Samuel leading this thing and continuing to push the pace. Will they be able to drop any of these men with the pace that they are running? Habtum Samuel looking very similar to how he did last night in the 5K, just trying to make things fast in these later laps and who can hang. Marco Langen has to know you can't leave it to that last lap, Marco, like you did yesterday in the 5K. If you're going to go, I say you got to go earlier. Maybe 300, 400 out. But right now, Marco is sitting in third, 4 laps to go. That's 800 meters to go here. And here we go. This is where champions are made. What is going to happen? Brian says it's kitchen time. Let's go BYU. The BYU duo led for a while, but they have now fallen back. They are out of this and as far as contention for the win. They could certainly place All-American first team, but it is now a lead pack of 6 led by Habtum Samuel. Marco Langen is falling back to 4th now. Colin Salmon moving up. I think Colin Salmon is looking really good here. He might be your biggest favorite to be able to outkick Habtum Samuel. Closed in 24 to win the men's DMR yesterday, and Colin Salmon looks really good. Habtum Samuel still leading, but Colin Salmon moving up on his shoulder now. Marco fighting to stay in the mix here. Butler's Jesse Hamlin is in this thing, and Oregon's Simeon Birnbaum. Now Marco's going to go. Marco Langen moves outside. Marco's going to make a pass. It's 2 laps to go, 400 to go. Marco needs to make a move now. He can't seem to get around Salmon. He's up into 3rd. It's Habtum Samuel in 1st. Colin Salmon in 2nd. And Marco Langen in 3rd with 300 to go now. Marco made a move with 200 to go in the 5K yesterday, and it was too little too late. He tried to make a move here with 400 to go, going a little earlier, but he couldn't get around them. And Colin Salmon looks really strong here. They're going into the bell lap. Colin Salmon passes Habtum Samuel. Salmon's got a lethal kick. He's starting to open up a gap. Habtum Samuel is falling behind, and Marco is doing everything he can to try to get around Habtum. Marco looks like he could get around him. Marco Langen gets around Habtum, and he's throwing an elbow. He's getting physical. Things are getting crazy as Colin Salmon almost trips. Marco Langen tried to pass Habtum on the outside, bumped into him, couldn't get around him. Habtum now passing Colin Salmon back. It's a photo finish. It is Habtum Samuel and Colin Salmon at the finish line. Photo finish. Simeon Birnbaum moved into the mix. Marco Langen back and forth again. He did everything he could here, guys. Marco Langen gets into a bit of a shoving match with both Colin Salmon and Habtum Samuel. Things got really physical at the end here. Nobody goes down, but everybody was kind of tripping there. Photo finish between Colin Salmon and Habtum Samuel. I don't even think they know who won. They are both kind of looking there, waiting for the result to come out here. It's between Habtum Samuel and Colin Salmon. Simeon Birnbaum made a strong move. He'll be 3rd, and Marco in 4th. Man, Marco Langen just did everything he could to try to get around these guys, but he's just not enough better than everybody. He's like even with these top guys. So it's not like he can just dictate things and take things into his own hands. He's so close, but he just can't seem to get it. They're replaying it now. Marco Langen, when he was passing Habtum, was elbowing Habtum. And he basically, Marco pushes Habtum into Colin Salmon. Somehow none of them fall. I mean, I hope Marco might honestly get DQ'd. I don't think there's any reason to DQ him, but they're talking about it now. I don't think there'd be any reason to DQ him. Nobody fell. Marco didn't even win. He came in 4th, so it's not really an impact on the race. Colin Salmon and Habtum Samuel come down to the finish line tied. They still haven't said who won this thing. It seems like it might be Habtum Samuel who got him by 100th of a second, but yeah, they're going to give it. They're going to the 1000th place and they're saying that Habtom Samuel of New Mexico wins this thing. So on both the men's and women's side, it's a sweep. 5K, 3K, Jane won both. 5K, 3K, Habtom won both. They're now interviewing both Habtom Samuel and Colin Salmon at the same time because they're basically co-winners here. It was a photo finish at the end there. Colin Salmon, I mean, respect to Habtom Samuel. Colin Salmon's got maybe the best kick in the NCAA when it comes to a 3,000. I mean, this guy's the NCAA record holder in the 800, and somehow Habtom holds him off. Habtom also had to be dealing with Marco, who was shoving him into the inside of the track. You know, I don't think Marco was doing it maliciously. Marco wants it so badly, but these guys just seem to be just slightly better, and they're able to hold him off. Marco is incredibly elite, but he just can't seem to will himself to these victories. And I know he's going to be heartbroken that he didn't come away from this meet with the national title that he wanted. But I mean, to come in second place in the 5K yesterday and fourth in the 3K today with such a strong effort to go after the win. I mean, he did everything he possibly could. He can leave this with no regrets, and I hope he does. Let's reconnect with your live chats here. Ferdinand says Colton Sands. Yeah, Colton Sands was in there. He wasn't up in the mix at the top. Isaac says Colin gonna take it. Colin did not take it. But he was really close. Colin Salmon was basically the co-winner of this thing. I mean, they came across the line in a photo finish. It goes down to the thousands. Ronnie says, wow, that's crazy. I can't wait to see the replay. This is a replay worth watching. I mean, the best way I could describe it is Marco Langen was kind of elbowing Habtom Samuel. So Marco's passing on the outside, and he's kind of elbowing Habtom, and he pushes Habtom into Colin Salmon. They all kind of get tripped up, but nobody goes down. Marco was doing everything to try to get around them and couldn't. There has been a protest filed. I'm guessing that has to do with somebody wanting Marco to get disqualified. I hope Marco doesn't get disqualified. He was doing everything he could to try to pass these guys, trying to will himself to a victory. He couldn't do it. Now, if Marco had passed them and won, Riley, the replay will be on the NCAA page very shortly. I'm sure you'll see it all over social media. I want to thank everybody for joining thus far. We've had over 1,000 views throughout the night. Currently 67 viewers, and Hayden says, great commentary. I appreciate you, Hayden. I brought all the energy I could in that 3K. It really was worth every ounce of energy I could give it because that was one of the best 3K races I've ever seen. To recap it, Habtom Samuel leads the majority of the race, and he holds off efforts from Colin Salmon and Marco Langen and Simeon Birnbaum. He takes the win. Just undisputed. I mean, both the men's and women's 5K and 3K winner won both titles, and they just proved to be the class of this year's field. Marco desperately wanted to get the pass. RC says Marco screwed up Salmon. Marco has major issues with contact. Yeah, I think Marco is a bit of a physical runner, and I think it comes down to he just can't seem to outkick these guys with raw speed, and he then wants it so badly that he resorts to physical contact. I don't think he means any harm, but it's just, that's how it goes sometimes. Riley says, thank you. This saw clutch. Awesome commentary, young man. You delivered an amazing race commentary. Your voice, hype, and inflections felt like we were right there at the event. Wow. Thank you, Steven, for that comment. That is much appreciated. I did the absolute best I could, and that means everything to me. That's why I do this, trying to give you guys the best experience I can via a live reaction. Definitely recommend rewatching this one, though, because even my words will not do it justice. Marco Langen basically pushed Habtom Samuel into Colin Salmon. It trips them both up, so it's hard to say how it would have affected things had he not done that. Habtom and Colin Salmon finished neck and neck in a photo finish. Had Marco not kind of bumped into them and caused a bit of tripping, maybe that would have looked a little different. But clearly Marco did not have the kick to just beat these guys straight up with raw speed. And I feel a little bad for him because I know how badly he wants it, and it just seems like that final gear and that final kick that he has is just one slight half tier behind what Colin Salmon and Habtom Samuel will bring to the table. So it's almost like he's doomed every race he comes into. He just can't seem to beat them. And in the few races we've seen him get the edge this year, it seems like he needs to fall or have physical contact to do so. I am a Marco Langen supporter. I raced in the same section as him in high school. Jersey guy. I love everything he's done for the sport. I think a lot of people don't like him, and that's part of why he's so good for the sport. The controversy he creates. He's a love him or hate him kind of guy. And I know he did everything he could to get this national title. He fell short in both the 5K and 3K, but if you look at the effort he put in, you really can't ask for anything more. He did everything he could. I mean, talk about leaving it all on the track. He did that both today and yesterday. He just couldn't do it. I mean, he put 100% on the track and it just wasn't enough to get the win. That's all it is, guys. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And I think hopefully he's able to live with that. You know, he is going to be disappointed without a national title. I know it. But at least you can take away from this meet that you gave it everything you had. That's what Marco did. He improved upon previous year's positions. You know, coming second in the 5K yesterday, that's the highest he's ever finished in a national championship in the NCAA. So you've got to take that for what it's worth. And you've still got outdoors. We'll see what he's able to do. I mean, I think the big focus needs to be, you know, you can't teach speed really, but his kick, it seems like he's not able to just straight up beat these guys when it comes down to a fast finish. It seems like guys like Captain Samuel and Colin Solomon are just able to close a little faster than him. And, you know, Marco, in his desperation, he often resorts to getting a little physical. That is never going to work. It's either going to get you DQ'd or it's not going to work. That's not how you win races. You win races by getting to the line first, by running the fastest. And Marco, I credit him for all the effort he puts into these races. He literally did everything he could, just couldn't pull it off. Let's recap the results here for that men's 3K. It's Habtom Samuel in first. The official time, 7:41.65. Colin Solomon in a photo finish with him. They give him second, 7:41.66. And then it's Oregon's Simeon Birnbaum who sneaks in for third. Marco Langen of Villanova falls to fourth there. Ernest Chariot took fifth for the home team, Arkansas. Taha Raoui of Eastern Kentucky was sixth, and Jesse Hamlin of Butler was seventh. Jane Hedegren's brother Isaac was ninth after leading with Tavon Kitchen early. Those BYU guys really made this thing fast. It didn't really pay off for them, but wow. Ferdinand says, thank you for watch long. It's early morning in South Africa. Blessings. Ferdinand, thank you for tuning in. You are our top commenter of this live stream, so really appreciate your engagement. So cool that you're joining from South Africa. I hear that it's morning there. Have a wonderful day. Hope it's nice there. Ronnie, thank you for your comment. Amazing coverage. Did my best. Hopefully this was enjoyable and informative for everybody who wanted to tune in for the NCAA Indoor Championships. 4x4s are going right now. The women's team title has already been secured for Georgia. I'm not sure if the men's title is still up for grabs, but women's 4x4s are going out there now. 4x4, always a fun way to end the meet. But I am going to be wrapping up the coverage here in just a moment. If you've got any questions or final comments you want to leave in the live chat, please do so. Really appreciate everybody joining here tonight. And we are about to wrap up the 2026 NCAA Indoor Championships. What a meet it was. Lots of surprises, lots of excitement. I'm sure we'll be looking back and rewatching a lot of these events for the days and weeks to come. And we've got outdoor on the horizon. A lot of redemption stories, I think, begin tonight. I can think of one of them with Marco Langen. Definitely going to be setting his sights on outdoor titles now. What do you guys think his best event chance is? I don't know. I feel like it could be Could be the 5K outdoors. Might have to be the 5K. Yeah, but he's going to have to find a way to beat these guys with a strong kick that doesn't involve impeding them. I wonder if we're going to get any update on if he gets disqualified here. There was a dispute and a protest filed for the men's 3K, so we shall see. I don't think that they should disqualify him. If he had pushed them and it, caused them to fall, or he won because of it, it'd be a different story. But the guys he pushed both beat him anyways. I guess you could make an argument that Colin Solomon and Hampton Samuel weren't able to have a clean race against each other because of Marco's physical contact, but it's really tough to call. Really, really tough to call. I got to credit Hampton Samuel for doubling the 5K, 3K, and winning both. To hold off Colin Solomon in a final kick, that is really something special. Colin Solomon won the men's DMR for his NAU boys yesterday. He closed in 24 that last 200, and he was celebrating down the home stretch. Steven says, thank you for an excellent program. All the best in your endeavors going forward. Steven, thank you for that sentiment. I think that's a great way to wrap this live stream up. Okay, RC says Eastern Kentucky runner DQ'd in 3K. That's interesting. So maybe the protest didn't even have to do with Marco. I wonder what the Eastern Kentucky athlete did to deserve that. But Steven, really appreciate your comment. Wishing you the best as well. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. We are going to wrap this live stream up. Be sure to follow along with the kick. If you enjoyed this today, subscribe if it's your vibe here on YouTube. We've got a lot of great episodes of podcasts in the books already and more coming. Some phenomenal guests on the podcast. You can also listen to the Kick a Runner's podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're also on iHeartRadio and Amazon Music. So hopefully wherever you get your podcasts, the Kick is there. And we're also on Instagram at the Kick Podcast. So please follow, leave a like, do everything you can to support the Kick because it goes a really long way. And I think the number one thing you could do is if you listen on Spotify, leave a 5-star review for the show there. You only have to listen to like 30 seconds of an episode to give the show a 5-star review. Same thing on Apple Podcasts. That really can help us grow. So if you're able to do that, it takes next to no time and it goes a really long way. Really appreciate everybody for supporting the channel, supporting the Kick. And I'm going to end this stream here as much as I don't want to. All things do come to an end, and this is going to wrap things up for the 2026 NCAA Indoor Championships. This is the Kick, a Runners Podcast. I'm your host, Will Loggia. Appreciate you tuning in today, and that is going to be all for tonight.